Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. What does it take for a race team to be considered bad? Poor organisational skills, lack of funding, no common sense? There are many things that go into it, but for a lot of teams, it's normally just a case of biting off more than they can chew. It takes a lot to keep a team going in Formula 1, especially money, but a lot of luck comes into it too, and skill. So when you have two experienced race teams join forces to create a new team, you'd expect them to have a better go at it than most. And yet, Eurobrun, a union of the Brun Motorsport sports car team and the Italian Euro racing team, were a spectacular failure. How bad was it? Well, how does 21 starts from 76 entries sound? That's just shy of 28% if you're counting. So what went wrong with the Eurobrun Formula 1 team? Subscribe and we will jump straight into the video. I guess before we get into Eurobrun, we need to look at the individual components that made up the Eurobrun team. Let's start with Gianpaolo Pavanello's Euro Racing team, an Italian team with success in national and European junior formula dating back to the mid-70s. They had some top drivers go through their team, such as Piercarlo Ginzani, David Kennedy, Bruno Giacomelli, Michele Alboreto, Mara Baldi, Emanuele Pirro and Oscar Larari, amongst others. Piercarlo Ginzani won the European F3 Championship in 1977 before the team went on a winning streak, winning the European F3 title 3 times between 1980 and 1982. In 1983 they took over the running of the Alfa Romeo Formula 1 team. It did not go well. Andrea De Cesaris got some good results for the team in 1983 and they finished 6th in the Constructors' Championship. But in 1984 they were uncompetitive due to fuel consumption issues, plaguing the team. The engine was too thirsty, so they had to run underpowered to get to the end of races. That meant they were slower than everyone else, and they scored just 11 points. The 1985 car was so bad, they went back to the old car, but still scored no points, and Alfa Romeo left Formula 1, not returning as a team until 2019. So maybe Euro Racing were not the best choice for a push at Formula 1. On the other hand, they were an experienced team, and they did at least have some F1 experience, even if it wasn't good. As for Brun Motorsport, they were a Swiss team founded by Walter Brun, a man who made his money from slot machines, making them instead of playing them. They ran independent Porsches in the World Sports Car Championship, winning it in 1986. The team had a lot of success in sports car racing. The key figure in all of this is Oscar Larari, who drove for both Euro Racing and Brun Motorsport. Walter Brun put a lot of money into getting Larari into Formula 1, with the Euro Racing team running the actual race entry themselves. So how did these two very successful teams get things so wrong in Formula 1? Well, when you have two different entities in charge, wires are going to get crossed. There is not a lot of information about Eurobrun as a team, so we will have to put what pieces we have together to try and get a picture of what life was like at this small team that really struggled to qualify for Formula 1 races. They joined the grid for the first time in 1988. As the whole project was really in aid of Oscar Larari, obviously he was given one of the race seats. The other went to a very talented Italian, Stefano Modena, who had raced for the Euro team previously in Formula 3. Both cars managed to get onto the grid at the first race in Brazil, albeit down the back end of the grid. In the race, Oscar Larari wouldn't get to complete a lap, the electrics failing, sending him for an early bath. Stefano Modena did a lot better, getting to lap 20 before his engine broke. Their first race saw both cars out with only a third of the race completed. Things went downhill from then on. Oscar Larari failed to qualify at Imola, the first of many times he would fail to qualify. Stefano Modena got to the end of the race, but was so many laps down he wasn't classified. Modena was excluded from the next 2 races, first for missing a weighing, and then for having an illegal rear ring. Oscar Larari would get his best ever Formula 1 result in Mexico when he brought the car home in 13th. Modena one-upped him with a 12th place in Canada, and that was about the level until Modena got what would be Eurobrun's best ever result, 11th place at Hungary. Money started to run out. Oscar Larari had gained a reputation as a bit of a mobile chicane, and Walter Brun wanted to replace him with Christian Danner. Obviously Larari was unhappy about this, and Danner was too tall to fit in the car anyway, so it never happened. Something Christian Danner should probably be very happy about, although considering he ended up at Real, maybe not. The end of the season was bad for Eurobrun. Oscar Larari failed to qualify for 6 of the final 7 races. whilst Modena failed to qualify for 4. The Australian Grand Prix that ended the season was the last time Eurobrun would have 2 cars in a Grand Prix. Both retired. By this point, Euro Racing seemed disinterested, money was tight and results were not forthcoming. With the mechanical side of the team slimmed down and no new car, just an updated version of a car that was already pretty rubbish, 1989 did not look good. They replaced the Cosworth engine with a Judd and slimmed down to a single car entry for Swiss pay driver Gregor Wojtek. If you have watched the Onyx Racing Team video, then you know Gregor Wojtek has a history with back-end race teams. Wojtek would at least get to race for Onyx. His time at Eurobrun saw 11 successive failures to qualify, even after the new ER189 was introduced at Germany. Gregor Wojtek quit and joined Real, which had a habit for picking up Eurobrun's leftovers. Oscar Larari was brought back to see out the season and promptly failed to qualify for every race that was left. Eurobrun didn't make the grid once in 1989. Amazingly, they still turned up for 1990 and with 2 cars, although they were slightly less Euro and mostly just Brun. Euro Racing left the partnership and went back to selling aftermarket car parts. They somehow convinced Roberto Moreno to join the team alongside Claudio Langs. Langs would fail to qualify for all 14 races he entered, a record to this day in Formula 1. Moreno did manage to qualify twice, first in the USA when he brought the car home in 13th, the final time a Eurobrun finished a race, and at Imola he qualified but a throttle issue ended his race before it really began. After 14 races into the season, Brun finally had enough and pulled the plug. According to Moreno, they were not even trying to qualify for races at this point because they didn't want to spend money on maintaining the car and buying extra tyres, which raises the question of why they bothered turning up at all. The Eurobrun team only ever started 21 races out of 76 entries. They were only classified in 8 of those races, and Modena's 11th at Hungary in 1988 was their best ever result. No one gained anything from the existence of the Eurobrun team. So what happened to everyone in the aftermath? Well, Euro Racing continued on in touring cars for a fair while. Gianpaolo Pavanello himself died in 2015. Brun Motorsport drained from the development of a new prototype sports car, and the Eurobrun project would dissolve in 1992. Walter Brun himself would continue racing until the early 2000s and is still alive, happily retired. Stefano Modena would continue in Formula 1 with the likes of Brabham, Tyrrell and Jordan. He got a couple of podiums but never reached the heights he should have. He would race for Alfa Romeo in touring cars for a few years, retiring after the 2000 DTM series, where he was not very competitive. Oscar Larari never raced for another Formula 1 team. He would have success in South American touring cars, whilst Claudio Langs would never have any success anywhere, but also raced in various touring car series. Wojtek and Dana would never have success in Formula 1, whilst Roberto Moreno should never have been driving for the likes of the Eurobrun team. So as you can see, Eurobrun hurt or completely ended nearly everyone's careers. Anyway, that is the story of the Eurobrun Formula 1 team. A complete disaster but lacking the eccentric personality of a Jean-Pierre Van Rossum at Onyx. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have already looked at the Andrea Moda, Colony and Onyx race teams in this series. Playlist on the end card. Thank you for watching and have a good one.